Hello again, folks, and welcome to week 3. So I did receive your rhetorical analysis essays, and I will be grading those within the next few days. Hoping to get all my commentary and feedback to you folks by the end of the weekend, and then you have a place to go to from there with my commentary to work on your revisions. And so again, if you have any questions about my comments or where you can go as you work towards those revisions, feel free to contact me, let me know. The purpose of this video specifically is to introduce you to the third paper, the third assignment that we have here. And really, the title of the course is College Writing Seminar, but I take that rhetorical approach to communication and written communication, that interplay between communicators and writers and audiences, and the way we appeal to those audiences, and then the way in which our message is constructed. All those things we talked about in the rhetoric and writing video and the PowerPoint that I showed you folks. Those things really get generated and utilized quite a bit in this next paper. So the last paper, the rhetorical analysis, was really seeing how somebody else was trying to persuade you. So there was a specific communicator. You were being perceived as a potential audience member. How were you trying to be persuaded? How is the message constructed, etc. In this case, you are the one that is trying to persuade somebody else. So if we go to our GoalNet page, which we have here, and you can see again under assignment sheets, we've got paper number 3 there. Just click on that to open up. I already have a copy of it open here, so we'll just go to it right here. And just to give the description, go through the description again as it appears in the syllabus. It's a slightly longer paper, so we've been kind of scaffolding as we go through here, right? First paper was a little bit shorter, but it had that visual component. The last paper you folks just turned in, a little bit longer, had to incorporate a little bit of research. This one, some more research you're going to need to bring in a little bit, but then it's going to be even more that you're going to have to do in terms of writing, right? So the 5 to 6 pages. And really what you're doing in this is you're choosing a specific product or a program or a practice or a policy or a service that's currently being debated, and I give you some examples there, right? So maybe it's that, the use of energy drinks, right? And so you're taking a side here. Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? Is it only healthy in certain populations, unhealthy in others? Universal health care, where you fall pro or con on that. The use of Wikipedia as an academic source, always an interesting type of topic. Employers checking Facebook profiles, of employees, etc., etc. So really, those are just some suggestions, and you certainly do not have to write on any of those. You can select completely your own topic, as long as it's something that has multiple viewpoints, multiple sides that you can argue for. And these ways, doesn't have a pro, doesn't have a con. Yay or nay. Do I agree with this? Do I disagree with this? And then supporting why you agree or disagree, and then trying to persuade others to see your point of view. One thing you do in this paper, though, is you interrogate some of the common perceptions surrounding that topic. So we might just look at a topic and just assume that it is, well, that's always bad, or that's always good, right? Well, where does that come from? What are some of the perceptions that created that? This is always good, this is always bad. Maybe no gray area for some of those things. You're going to need to address potential counterarguments, because there are always opposing sides. And to ignore those things does something to your own personal credibility and your own personal ethos. It detracts away from that. So you want to make sure you acknowledge those counter-arguments and refute them. And yes, you have to utilize outside research. You do have the option, if you're feeling comfortable, of composing a video essay for this assignment, but by no means is it a requirement. I like to give folks some options as to what they can do for these kinds of things. And give you different forms of this too. So the written option, the essay option. There's multiple forms that this itself could take too. So at this point, we've examined a few different folks, right? Between the readings you've had, and the assignments and the lectures that I've been giving. And we've looked at how advertisers or poets or speechwriters or movie directors, political cartoonists, etc. have utilized certain aspects of the rhetorical triangle, which again, ethos, credibility of the communicator, logos, the message and how it's constructed, and pathos, audience, who is the audience, and how are they being appealed to. So we've seen how others have been doing that, and this use of language and symbols, the larger cultural context, to make arguments for various purposes, right? So again, someone could be trying to just sell us something. They could be trying to change public opinion or policy on a certain kind of issue. Or it could just be, again, just simple entertainment, just trying to entertain us or make us laugh or make us cry. Now it's your turn, as I said, right? It's your turn to pick a topic, pick a side, and try to persuade us. So you're going to select that topic of your choice and present an argument or a series of arguments that will attempt to persuade a reader to change their attitudes, opinions, and perhaps beliefs about said topic, or at the very least, get the reader to consider your side of an argument. And here's the one disclaimer that I kind of have. Beliefs are tough. it's a lot easier to change people's ideas about things than it is to change their beliefs. Or if something that is a social issue or political issue, or just an issue that's around in our lives, has a belief structure around it. And that's not to say anything against anybody's belief structure, anybody's practice of religion. Absolutely not, because everyone has those beliefs and everyone's entitled to those beliefs. It's just difficult because those things are very much a part of who we are, and they're very enculturated into who we are, whatever they may be. And it's difficult, So for the example, like capital punishment, right? I don't want you folks, I will say, I don't want you folks to write on capital punishment, okay? But it's an argument that we kind of know already what all the arguments are. There's really no research involved. Okay, here's the laundry list of for, here's the laundry list against. But if one of your arguments is to quote, say, for example, the Bible, and say, well, an eye for an eye, for one side of capital punishment, right? So if somebody takes a life, their life should be taken. Okay. Then you have the other side, which says, well, one of the commandments, thou shalt not kill. So you have that contradiction that's in there, and you're using a type of evidence that's surrounded within a belief structure. And that makes it really difficult, and that makes it so much more personal that if you try to utilize that, you could alienate and isolate certain people and certain audience members, and that's certainly not what you want to do. So it's, again, not to knock down anybody's beliefs or belief structure. It's just to say that, looking for multiple types of evidence outside of that belief structure and trying to challenge people's ideas about things, not necessarily their beliefs about them. And really, it's not trying to win an argument. It's trying to just maybe get people to see your side of that argument. And this assignment can be set up in one of many ways. So you could just do a traditional thesis-driven essay. So similar to what we did with the last paper. You have that declarative statement of, in this paper I will. You're maybe not saying a first person in this paper, I will. But that type of sentiment, okay? So you could have that traditional thesis-driven essay. You could have a traditional argumentative piece, so you state the problem. You bring up what opponents think about it, so you start with the counter-arguments in terms of what they think should be done. You take that counter-argument apart and their plans apart, and then you state your own solution. You could even do something like a letter to the editor. And so there's a bunch of different ones you can look at. You can find Endicott's school newspaper online. You can check the Boston Globe, the New York Times, some great editorial pieces in there. And you could even do something that's a little more creative, doing a dialogue between you and someone that doesn't agree with you. So that's always fun, too. So you have those things as an option. And although you have that freedom for this to take the format however you'd like, it does need to be grounded in some research. So you will need to use a minimum of 3 outside sources for the assignment, only one of which can be online. I'll preface that this way. What I mean to say when can be online, I mean like a website. Like I went to Google and I typed something in and this site came up, right? Something other than Wikipedia. Don't want you folks to use Wikipedia. But something that we would consider to be a valid source, even though it's online. Something perhaps with a .edu. This person has a certain level of credentials. It's a certain institution that's being attached to it. That enhances the credibility somewhat, right, of the information that's on that site. The other sources, trying to find things, right, from perhaps scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles or books or magazines or documentaries, possible sources. All of those things can be found online, though, right? So even if you get a peer scholarly journal article, peer-reviewed scholarly journal article, you can find that online through the library's database. So that's one thing to consider. So that's all I mean by, only one can be online, meaning only one can be a website, like what you type into Google. But there are some questions, some things you might want to consider when working on this assignment. And so I list these different things. So who is your intended audience? And this is something to try to be very specific about. And I mentioned these examples in that rhetoric and writing handout that I had before, right, in the video that I had before. Who are you trying to persuade? You're trying to persuade non-smoking college students to reconsider a particular college's smoking ban, for example. That really helps you to tailor certain things. Are you trying to persuade federal politicians to approve of universal health care or change their position? Persuade adolescents who have experimented with drugs or alcohol to refrain from such behaviors. So we have, again, a specific purpose in mind, a specific audience in mind. What is the primary way that you'll appeal to your audience? Okay, will you draw upon the testimony of experts, something that could be considered ethos, right? The credibility of others, which therefore then enhances your credibility. Will you try to get an audience to feel a certain way, to draw them into the subject by maybe telling some type of anecdote or personal story or a story of somebody else, drawing on their emotions, pathos? Will you utilize various types of evidence from different sources, which I hope you would in this kind of a paper? So pulling things from a documentary, from a scholarly peer-reviewed source, from this particular professor's website that's up online, whatever it might be. And the other thing, too, that's, again, very important is what are the counter-arguments? So those viewpoints other than your own on this topic. regarding that chosen topic. How will you address those counter-arguments? And not just address them, but also refute them, to dispel them, to make us realize and see that they are faulty in some kind of way. The video option for this paper, I won't go through it in this video specifically. If you folks are interested in doing it, feel free to contact me. I can talk to you about it more, but that is a possible option if you're feeling like you're comfortable doing that. I give you, again, the MLA formatting guidelines here, so that gives all that information, which is nothing new for the other papers, like what we had in the other papers. And so here again are the due dates. So the first draft is due Wednesday the 6th. The final draft, quick turnaround for that one, as far as the revisions, be the following week, the 13th, but then all the revisions are going to be on the 26th, right, for all of the papers that you turn back in. So that's the long and short of it. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about anything relating to this assignment, what you're going to be doing, feel free to contact me, let me know. But hopefully this will be a fun assignment for you folks, because you really get to kind of get into the ring and get the boxing gloves on a little bit and you know, really kind of fight for your side of something. So that's always fun. So again, let me know if you have any questions. Okay, thanks. I'll talk to you folks soon.